Hello, fantastic folk from every walk, jog, and run of life. Shams Nelson here from Fantastic Anatomy, and today I'm going to be talking about the shape and the gesture of the head. Now, when I first started drawing the head, drawing in general, when I wanted to draw people, I wanted to really have just one shape that I could always use, and that would be my go-to. It just seems simpler and safer. But the more I've studied this, the more I found that you have to use different tools for different occasions. So here's the first head, and I really like this gesture. I should explain what I mean by the gesture of the head. Is just the kind of what I'm talking about is the quickest thing, the first thing you put down just to get a feel for it, to put it in space, and then you start building the structure and the details on top of that. So this one's really nice because you draw the circle for the cranium first, and then you add this mask of a face, which is a very interesting shape I really like. And what's also important is that little shelf. Here I'm doing it on this guy. That little shelf below the chin, which gives you a little space before you hit the neck. And the ear is an interesting thing. It usually sits in the middle. I'm going to talk a lot more about the ear later on. But most of this demo is just going to be spent showing you a bunch of different ways to get the head shape. And here I was trying to fix what I did with the triangle, but really you want to get, when you're doing this triangle start, which is a really easy way to get going, you want that back, the back of the triangle, the one pointing, from the back of the skull, to be way far out, because you're going to kind of chop that off right there. You see that line that I made? And that's going to round out the skull. Oh, there it goes. Alright, let's see what the next one here is. Oh yeah, using two ovals. This will give you a very rounded face. So if you're drawing someone with, extra body fat, or a baby, or someone with just a rounder face, then that's a good way to start. I don't know why it's not my preferred method, but it does work and it's really easy. It's basically just two of these oval shapes that are about the same size. And one thing about the neck is you want to connect it to the very back of the cranium and then to where that little shelf under the chin ends. And it kind of swoops back a little bit. Unless you're standing at attention like a soldier, then it would go almost straight down. And if you have bad posture, it could lean even farther forward. One thing that I learned, a lot of these gestures, this gesture stuff that I've learned was from these New Master Academy. I think it's newmastersacademy.com. It's a great website. Pay a monthly fee I don't know, but it's not very much. Like $30 or $40 a month maybe. It's not too bad. But anyways, the quality of the information you get is great. And one of these things is where the two most important lines in the gesture are that of the face and that from the side view, or that of the face and then the top. So if you have it pointing down, I'm still having trouble with the downward looking head. Got to work on that a little bit, or a lot of it. But yeah, so that's a good way of figuring out, like, okay, is the head looking up, is the head looking down, and plotting that out really quickly. Is the front and the top line in the face. And then from the front view, the two most important lines are the center line and the brow line. I mean, I guess you could argue the eye line, but I think the brow line's more characteristic, because once you put the brow line in, you can figure out where the eyes fit. So that's the eye line I just drew, and then the brow line would be above. The eye line's about exactly in the center of the head, and the brow line is above that, obviously, with like a third down from the hairline. And one of the important things is when you're drawing the neck and the trapezius muscle is to get it to feel like it's really connecting to that sphere up at the top, which makes up the cranium, because that's where it does connect. So if you think about that, it helps a lot. Like my neck there probably is too long and it doesn't look like it actually would reach all the way up. The front one at least, the trapezius looks okay, but the front looks like it wouldn't reach all the way up. And I made these lines to show how the trapezius wraps around the back, and the column of the neck, I suppose you could call it, or the neck part, is in front of it. Another method is to draw a triangle, and this is kind of like the triangle from the side view, but you draw it from the front and then add those to the cheekbones. um, the jawbones, and that gives you a good idea of the face. And I used to like to draw this like sunglass shape to give the shadow and the brow, the ridge under the eyebrows dips in a little bit before the nose pops out. It's a quick way to get your placing. That's really what I feel like gesture is all about from what I've been studying. It seems like the consensus is first you do a gesture when you're drawing a figure, um, and then you build the structure on that, and then you go into the details and rendering. And gesture is a lot of it is about getting the placement of everything right, and it's also about getting the energy and the feel of the piece right, and that's really done in the very beginning stages. So it's strange to me because I would think that rendering would be the part you want to spend the most time working on and studying and stuff, but if you can render really great but your gestures or the underlying foundation of the rendering is off or poor or not exciting, it just doesn't have life in it, then that's going to hurt a lot more than if you have great life in your gestures, and if the gestures feel right and it's conveying the attitude and the movement and everything well, and then you're rendering, you can, I mean, some people just, you can be crazy about the rendering, and if that underlying thing, or you can not render at all, people will still connect because they'll feel that emotion and they'll get what you're trying to say, which is kind of the point of art, I think, is to have people get what you're trying to say or convey a message, or to yeah, I mean, not always, but when you're designing something with a purpose, then that's usually the the idea, I think. And the last one there was just like an oval shape, and then you just put kind of most simple thing, one of the first ideas I learned a long time ago, but it didn't help me as much as the others. I like the idea of there's a cranium and then there's the mask of the face. Those are the two large structures that make up the head. Here's the back view, and this one I'm pretty sure I made that trapezius way too long, so I'm going to erase that in a second and fix it. But the important thing here is that there are basically um, three like layers going when you're doing the back of the skull. I mean, the back of the skull, basically all you see is the back of the cranium, and then a tiny bit of the side of the face, which you'll see. So the closest to you are these trapezius muscles. Then you've got that column of the neck, and then the ears are, I think, actually in front of, yes, basically in front of, still like closer to you when you're looking from the back than the mask of the face. And here I'm going to draw it closer up so you can see those three things as they get pretty close. So here is the neck connecting to the cranium. Sternocleidomastoid, I don't know. I should learn all those names, but I didn't want to spend too much time trying to memorize those when I really need to learn how to draw them. But I'll get to that. So give the ear some thickness, and then there's the jawline. I mean, you can see just barely the front of the face. And I used to have a lot of trouble with this, but if you just learn those three things and experiment with it a little bit, then that's pretty much all you need to know. And that's just kind of a general idea of where the hair might come down, or how it might sit on that head. Alright, let's see what we got coming up next here. Basically, I just decided to, okay, I'm going to dump out all the ideas I have, and you guys can just, take what is useful to you. And, yeah. So here I'm going to show you how, if you're tilting the head from the back view, I just do that kind of cross thing. And a big part of that, the ears tell a lot of information, not just from the back, but especially from the back, since there's no, like, features. But the ears are pretty important, actually, because they tell which direction the head is facing. They give a lot of information about that. And I'm going to go into that in a little bit, I think, right now. So how's life? Alright, here we go. So yeah, these are just some other kind of weird ones. Like, that's a very ugly shape that I made at first, but I found that it's just like, if you're just trying to get like sometimes I'm watching TV and I'll try to draw them, but scenes in TV cut is so quick, especially nowadays with our short attention spans. But that can be the way to just get the head in the right place, looking the right direction, is to make a weird ugly shape like that. I don't know. It kind of works for me. I don't like it, but it does. So this kind of construction stuff, I'm gonna come up with the next video in my Anatomy 102 class that I'm taking. Um, the next section is about the structure of the head. So that's one of the videos I'm gonna be doing about everything I learned once I finished studying that. And I've been doing both these chapters simultaneously. So one thing about this is the corners, like finding the corners of the head, the front and back corners, um, and that'll really help get an idea of how the head's facing and stuff like that. And this is an example of a boxier method of laying out the head and gesture. Usually the boxier stuff is left for the structure section. This weird almost like upside down drip shape, I really like that for heads actually, and especially for heads looking up, because it gets, I don't know, it seems to work out. And here I'm making the head, the cranium is bigger, is wider than the face. So it actually goes, when you have the ear, it's behind the ear, it's a little bit wider. So you want to show that, or else your head is going to look like a pinhead or something like that. And then here's a couple more. I mean, that's like a really basic shape, but I really like that shape. I don't know really how to describe it. It's almost like half a heart now that I look at it. Um, and I like how, I always think of how in the profile view the nose kind of lines up with the ear. And this is probably more for the structure class, but getting your gesture in also can mean getting those lines in to figure out which direction things are facing, like where the planes generally are. So you can see that line of the eye, the nose, the mouth that I just did. I just did a couple choppy lines across. They run usually pretty parallel to each other, or at least structurally parallel to each other, and then there are forms upon that structure. But that's a good way to give the head like its sense of like a believable sense of everything lining up, is to make sure that the eye line, the nose line, the mouth line are run parallel to each other in whatever perspective you're looking at. And here I was going to try to show you guys how, like, why the ear is important. So the ear from profile, like, that wasn't a very good profile. Actually, if you look at that one that I did before, you'll see he kind of looks like he's facing towards the camera a little bit. And that's because the ear, mostly because the ear is all the way far back, or else it would look like a perfect profile. Here you can see if the ear is tilted, the one I'm drawing now, the tilt of the ear gives you a lot of information about the tilt of the head. And here the tilt of the ear up will give you the tilt of the head up. And then in the top left one, the fact that the ear is so close to the back of the head makes you, I mean, obviously you'll see a lot of the face, but shows that a lot of the face, that the front of the head is going to be shown a lot. And then here's an example of that again. So the fact that you can't see much of the back of the head, and then the ears, I don't know, it's hard to explain. I hope you get it. Or it's hard for me to explain. I'm finding it hard to explain. And then here, see if the ear is closer to the face, and then you see much less of the face. That's a good way to. You want the ear to be closer to the face if the face is turned away from you, and you can even push that really far. I mean, I made too much of the profile shown there, but I don't think I'm explaining myself very well. I think I've done a lot of explaining, and my brain started to poop out. But just the main idea is that the ear is important in knowing, in showing which way the head's facing. And I think that's it. So, I hope you guys got some help out of this video. Or picked up some cool ideas or whatever. And yeah, peace, God bless, and stay fantastic, everyone.